Alright, hello everyone, this is Spencer WS with another mod balance showcase, and well, I'm not sure what you expect to hear from me, but as you can probably guess, the punchline to most of these balance videos is that this character is not balanced. And I mean balanced in the sense that they have cards that are clear always picks, or cards that confer a decisive advantage in play over other cards of their same rarity, or cards that use certain effects that are just so powerful that the game itself becomes easy. So here's an example. We have here the Witch class. For those who are unfamiliar with this class, her special power is Black Cat, meaning at the beginning of each combat, you choose one of 3 curses to add to your deck, and whenever you draw a curse, you gain 1 energy. So I'm a little undecided about this. Gaining energy is great, but curses aren't so great. So that's probably a fine mechanic, but so my not starting hand. This is my like 4th hand, I think, of this battle, and it's absolutely insane. So here's a showcase of everything that's perhaps not balanced about the Witch class. So first of all, I have a power running right now called Summon Familiar, and it's a Raven, and it's upgraded. And this upgraded Raven upgrades any card in my hand and reduces its cost by 1 for the rest of the combat. Every turn I draw an upgraded Raven, which means that every turn I can upgrade a card and reduce its cost by 1. So, let's go on to the next one. Rite of Winter. Place any number of cards in my hand on top of my draw pile and gain 8 block for each of them. So this card is easily the most overpowered block card I've ever seen in any mod. Firstly, you gain 8 block per card you place on top of your deck, and that's not a disadvantage. That's really not a disadvantage. It just delays your ability to use that card by 1 turn. Often that's an advantage because you don't want to play a certain card at a certain turn, or you want to combo cards together, or what have you. So that's an advantage, and you gain 8 block. The unupgraded version is 5, so that's pretty substantial. 8 block for each of them. This card just delays your hand and can gain you like 32 block if you play it on your entire hand. Just absurd. Unbelievable. This card, Foresight, is important because Rite of Winter combos with it. The next 2 cards combo extremely well with Rite of Winter, which makes Rite of Winter even more busted. So Foresight. You draw a card. If it's a curse or a status, you exhaust it. Otherwise, make a copy of it. Or, to be specific, draw a copy of it. I like the card art, by the way. It's interesting. I don't know what's going on there, but it's totally new. That's a great thing about this class, is that it's got all its own card art, which is very respectable, by the way. So this, on its own, wouldn't be super broken because you can't really control what cards on top of your deck except for Rite of Winter, and that makes this absolutely off the chain. The next card is very similar to this, also can be heavily manipulated by Rite of Winter. Shrooms. You draw 3 cards and they have random costs for this turn. You can see where I'm going with this one. So if you want an expensive card to quite likely get a discount, put it on top of your deck with Rite of Winter. Or play this card now, and if you don't like some of the results you got and you would like to save those cards for next turn, play Rite of Winter and put them on top of your deck. Just insane. The upgraded version draws you 4 cards, and the upgraded Foresight costs 0. Okay, Grave Burst. Deal damage to all enemies equal to twice the number of attacks in your discard pile for 20 damage. Well, that's what I'm dealing with right now. This card is good, but it's just reasonable for a rare card. Often, you'd rather play all your broken cards than play this, and it has the added benefit of retaining. So you can accumulate attacks in your discard pile and make this more powerful by the end of it. Maybe that's a bit broken, I'm not sure, but if there were no other broken cards in this class, then having a little bit of brokenness would be balanced, because even the default classes have some broken cards. Okay. And this one is the final conspicuously broken card. Mystic Burial. Draw any card from your discard pile. That card costs 0 for this turn. The upgraded version does not let the card cost 0. So this is a very substantial upgrade. So if you have a certain broken card that you love to play, you can draw it from your discard pile and play it again for 0. And there's a certain card that I'm going to do that to in the next turn that I want to draw your attention to. So Blood Sabbath is the other. Okay, I can't highlight that, so let me find it in my deck list. That's not it. Where'd the deck list go? There it is. Okay. Blood Sabbath. So the upgraded version is pretty insane. Let me go to the unupgraded version. I think I have one in here. Okay. This is one of the best rares in the game, in my opinion, if you're playing an attack-oriented playstyle. You deal 15 damage to all enemies and apply 4 Decrepit. Decrepit is like Strength, except that it's a debuff applied to an enemy. So any attacks that hit that enemy deal an extra 4 damage. So 4 Decrepit is basically the equivalent of gaining 4 Strength, except that each turn, Decrepit decreases by 1 on the enemy, so you lose 1 extra damage potential there. The upgraded version of this is insane. It applies 7 Decrepit. One of the most convenient, best ways of applying Decrepit in this whole character is right here. Blood Sabbath deals nice damage, applies 7 Decrepit. Great. Well, Decrepit would only be useful if you had a multi-hit card that dealt a lot of damage, which, as you guessed, is exactly what this class can provide for you. Here, Puncture. Deal 1 damage 5 times. You can see that this would massively profit from Decrepit, and the upgrade version is deal 1 damage 7 times. I wouldn't call this unbalanced per se. Like, having a large source of damage is multi-target damage is pretty nice. I maybe would lower this to 4 and 6 to make it a little bit more balanced, but what's unbalanced is the Blood Sabbath, applying 7 Decrepit. That's like gaining 7 Strength with some additional hurdles, potential hurdles. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's see what these shrooms, since I have a lot of good cards in my deck here, let's take a brief look at the questionably portraited Dark Reception. At the start of your turn, add a copy of the last played card to your hand. I'm going to close out of that. I don't want anything to be removed here. I don't want this video to be taken down. Basically, the last card you use on your turn is copied, and then that copy is given to you on your next turn. So not only does that double the value of certain broken cards that you might like to play, but it also retains. It effectively retains the card. So that's also a use of that power. Okay. So let me show you how crazy this character can be. So let's first play some shrooms. Okay, so we've got a 0 cost Dark Procession. See, this is how things work. We have a Rite of Winter, which will allow us to copy any desired card with Foresight. So, since the Nemesis has got its intangible aura on, what we should do is play Dark Procession and for it to copy our last card. And then we will stack. We'll have to deal with the damage, and then we'll have to prepare for the massive Decrepit Puncture that I can set up next turn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I have 5 cards on top of the deck, 6 cards on top of the deck, so that I can play Foresight and then still have 5 cards left, so my Grave Burst damage does not reset. So that's my first goal. I'm going to do that by the way, the shroom costs do not carry over onto the next turn, so I'm not going to bother with that. We'll play Rite of Winter and then put the Raven and the Mystic Burial on top of my deck. The last card is the card that is on top of your deck, not the first. I think that's different than, what's the other card? You know, that colorless one? Foresight, I think. Yeah, Foresight. Sorry, that's this card. Whatever it is. Maybe it's also Foresight. I don't know. Anyway, okay. So this will help me discount my Blood Sabbaths next turn in case I need to do that. And this card is my card that I want to copy. So let's do that. We'll copy the Mystic Burials, and then the Mystic Burials I'm going to do 2 things with. So the first Mystic Burial I'm going to use to draw Nigh Invulnerability, which gives me 1 intangible. Now this card isn't exactly as broken as it looks, but it is broken, so let me explain. This is how it starts. It starts as a curse, and remember that curses are good for me, so that's, you know, somewhat good. It starts as a curse, but in order to get it to become a skill that you can use, you have to cleanse it, and you have to do whatever the card tells you to do in order to do that. So this card is cleansed by playing 3 attacks on the turn that it is drawn. So that's kind of difficult, but really not that hard. As you can see, I'm packing a lot of attacks in my deck for reasons such as that. This is my discard pile. But once you cleanse it, it remains as a usable, recyclable skill. It doesn't exhaust. And maybe it should, but... Oh, it definitely should. So I can use it whenever I want. I can get it out of my discard pile and just give myself an intangible, no problem. So since this has already been cracked open and this one wasn't, we'll have this one used. So no more damage. That solves my damage problem. And Grave Burst is going to retain, so I don't have to worry about that. And remember that I played Dark Procession, so whatever my last card played will be copied. That is why I'm going to play Mystic Burial. But just for fun, I'll just play Grave Burst and show you that it's not a big deal. Because I can put the Grave Burst back in my hand, costing 0 now. And it will retain. So I've played my last card. It's the Mystic Burial, and I want to keep the Mystic Burial for next turn with Dark Procession to show you how this works. So now we've got a 0 cost Grave Burst. We have 0 cards in our deck. It's all looking quite good right now. Here's our Puncture, here's our Blood Sabbaths, and we have extra Ravens. So basically, it's over. So this is what we'll do. First, I'll play Raven on Puncture, so we upgrade it and discount it. And then Blood Sabbath seems like a good next move, but you know, you could argue that Grave Burst is better. I think I'll do Blood Sabbath. Let's see here. 3, 2... Okay, yeah, for a little extra damage, I'll discount Memento Mori, which deals a certain percentage of the target's missing health, and it seems a bit broken because, well, I'm not really sure how it's calculated. You see that it's going to 41 damage from 32 based on the target's missing health. We'll get back to that. I'm not really sure how it's calculated. Anyway, Blood Sabbath will be great. And the reason why I use Mystic Burial last is so that I can get the Blood Sabbath back to my hand and have it cost 0. So another free Blood Sabbath, no problem. Now we have a 0-cost Grave Burst, a 0-cost Memento Mori, and 0-cost Puncture. This currently does 40 damage now. So I don't really understand how it's calculated. I think it does over twice its damage if the target is lost over half its health. I think that's how it works. Anyway, I won't bother playing any of these because it'd just be fun to watch the enemy die to Puncture. So we don't need any of these. It's no problem. We'll just kill them that way. So, oh yeah, one more card that's worth mentioning. This Pain Bolt. It's also a source of multiple damage. However much energy you have, it deals that multiplied by 6 and applies X vulnerable first. So it's also very powerful. So I think that's all I wanted to show you about this class. As you can see, that's its massive breaking potential. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like, and I will see you on my next character review.